I am that man, your man, the illustrious tour guide, Cole Johnson. And on this episode, we're going to talk about wedding rings and Super Bowl rings, all-star games, and the NFL hiring practices. Here we go once again. And other shenanigans as well. Of course, we're going to go in, send an email, and we're going to, of course, take a trip in from the vault in sports history. Now, before I begin these festivities, if you're watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, and send this out to tell a friend about this particular program. That's right. This one is for the intelligent sports person, man or woman. So check this out. This is how we roll as we get into this week's headlines. Let's start in Brooklyn, where the Nets, have agreed to an extension with Jacque Vaughn, the head coach of the team. So this extension is expected to keep him hired until the 2027 season. Now, they announced this deal yesterday, as of this recording yesterday, for Vaughn, whose sources said that he had a team option on his deal for next year, but they didn't disclose those terms. Now, they have the fifth best record, the Nets, at 32-19, and that is since Vaughn took over November 1st from Steve Nash. Now they're 34-24 for the year. They are fifth in the Eastern Conference. Now, Vaughn has shown himself to be a stabilizing force in the franchise, and now that they have a direction with the head coach, what's the direction with the team? I mean, they have Kevin Durant. No, they don't. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm doing this wrong. Let me see. They have Kevin Durant. Oh, I'm sorry. He's gone. Oh. They have Kyrie Irving. Oh, sorry. He's gone. They have James Harden. Gone and he's gone. Well, at least they have Ben Simmons. I feel for that franchise. They are circling the drain in record time. Goodness gracious. They find their coach and now they blew up the team. How ridiculous does this sound? It just does not get better than this. This feels like a soap opera. Anyway, from the East Coast to the Midwest, the Bulls and Lonzo Ball, unfortunately, well, they're still in Sapatico, but that's not why I'm talking about him. Ball will be missing the rest of the season, but he's already missed to this point of the season already for the 2023 season. But the team made it official as of yesterday that Ball is going to miss all the rest of the 2023 season. He continues to experience discomfort during basketball activities, despite his arthroscopic knee surgery before the 2023 campaign got started. He did not appear in the game so far, and he hasn't played since January of last year. Now, he's undergone not one, but two surgeries on his left knee. That was once in January of last year, and then another in September of last year, which that was right before training camp began. But despite some of those improvements being small and minuscule in recent months, he just hasn't been able to run or cut or jump without experiencing a whole bunch of pain. What sucks about this is the team looked as though, and I'm talking about the Bulls, they seemed to look as though they were turning the corner and becoming a possible elite force with him actually running the point. And it looked as though the timing was perfect. The team seemed to galvanize itself and learn who they were. And Lonzo seemed to galvanize himself and learn who he was as a basketball player, not just a professional basketball player, but as a basketball player, because he improved his shot. He tweaked his mechanics to the point where he improved his shot. He actually became even better of an assist guy. And so he seemed to find his lane. You know, he seemed to understand his identity and his role on the team and how he can uplift them, just his presence being on the court. And unfortunately, for the last 13 months, he hasn't been able to actually play on it. Well, our well wishes are with you from the VIP zone and from myself. We wish you the best and a speedy recovery, Alonzo. You have a lot of basketball left in you, and I hope you're able to get back on the court before October of 2023. Now we're staying in the Midwest. We're traveling up I-94. We're going into Milwaukee, where Giannis Antetokounmpo, he suffered a slight little injury in the All-Star game. Now he sprained his right, I think it was right wrist. It was a ligament sprain. He he's going to be undergoing treatment, but the expectation is though that he will be able to return to the lineup once the pain starts to come down, and that was announced on Monday night. Now he was examined in New York on Monday after the Sunday festivities out in Salt Lake City. Now, for those who might not be aware, he suited up to play, picked out his team. Then he got a dunk early in the game, and then he ducked out and basically became, I guess you could say, a glorified coach on the sideline. But right now, the guy who's averaging 32 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists this season, and have the Bucks sitting at the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, they should play this carefully. Don't rush him back. Let that injury heal. He's going to be back long before the playoffs. He's probably going to be back sometime in March. And let him continue to do the damage he's supposed to be doing, because right now I'm seeing an MVP-like season. I don't think he will win it, but he will be one of the candidates for it. And just rest that wrist, and hopefully it will come back and he'll be fine. And all it would need is rest, and he can get back to doing what he does best. And that's just simply terrorize defenses and even offenses when he's on the defensive end throughout all of the NBA. Speaking of terrorizing defenses all throughout the NBA, there is Russell Westbrook. Now, we're going all the way up to the West Coast because the former, Thunder, Wizard, Rocket, and now Laker point guard is now a former Jazz point guard. That's because the contract was bought out from the Jazz. So Westbrook is now free to roam and free to sign with whomever he pleases. And the choice is he wants to go right back home, but not to the Lakers. No, not to that dumpster fire. Let's go to the other Los Angeles dumpster fire and the Clippers. So his agent, Jeff Sportz of XL Sports, said that Westbrook is looking to be a member of the Clippers. And, of course, the Clippers were increasingly interested with Westbrook. And that also was made possible by the trade that they made of getting John Wall out of there and having him go back to Houston himself. So the interest was there with the brass and with Coach Ty Lue and with Lawrence Frank, the president of basketball operations there. And they got into a series of conversations with Westbrook. And it looks like this is going to be a marriage. You could decide where it's made, but it looks like it's going to be a marriage between the Clippers and Westbrook. So now we get to see him chunk more bricks. I mean, hopeful shots to be made in the bucket at the same arena, but just not wearing the orange. I'm sorry, not wearing the yellow and the gold and the purple, but the red, white, black, and blue. Just a question of if he gets to play with both Kawhi Leonard and George Paul for any extended period of time. They seem to have a musical chairs affair with, "Ooh, I'm injured. Ooh, I'm injured. Ooh, I'm injured. Ooh, I'm injured." Well, who knows? From the hardwood to the gridiron, Panthers senior assistant head coach Jim Caldwell, who, of course, he was a former coach of the Lions and of the Colts. He basically has said that I ain't doing this head coaching carousel anymore. So he is one of the faces that black head coaches would be considered for hiring. And he'd be one of those frequent names that these teams would get to satisfy the Rooney Rule. We will talk about that later in the program. And only to just be spurned and not get the position because they would search for the one they would want to hire and get. But Mr. Caldwell had this to say about the process and how he wants to partake of it no longer. Quote, "Right now, the only job I am concerned about is the job I do here, right here and now. I'm not worried about the future or anything else. I don't plan on being a head coach from this point forward. When I didn't get a head coaching job, I immediately sort of changed the plan in terms of what I was looking for next. I knew I was at the stage where I wanted to be back in the building somewhere, and so I did have some opportunities to kind of look at. And I was happy when the Panthers called." Close quote. Now, this isn't a bad thing. I mean, because Caldwell is 68, so he's sort of at the tail end of his working life. So I think that he now can pass along advice to certain coaches, like the ones who are in the cycle, the ones who are in the running. Eric Bieniemy, anyone? That's what I'm thinking. But he can now pass that knowledge along to those who are actually seeking head coaching positions, and they have many years ahead of them. And we now go to Baltimore, where at his introductory press conference yesterday, the new offensive coordinator for the Ravens, Todd Monken, praised effusively Lamar Jackson because he said that he has an elite skill and he believes that Mr. Jackson is an underrated passer. However, they haven't really had that face-to-face yet. And there's a possibility that Mr. Jackson will skip all of the offseason workouts and the OTAs and training camp should he receive the franchise tag. Now, the Ravens are expected to place that tag on Mr. Jackson, and they would have until March 7th to exercise it. Now, Monken himself said that he didn't really feel worried that Jackson could wait the week or week plus before the regular season time to report, which would give him a little time to learn the new offensive system. He went on to say the following, along with not being worried about Lamar Jackson's presence. Quote, "Sure, he'll be behind, but it's just still football. Sometimes we make this out to be way too much. We'll cater to what he knows and play." Close quote. Well, Mr. Monken, I have to say this to you, and I say this to you with all honesty. You have a guy who has all the talent in the world. He's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in NFL history. But in order for that team to get to where you want them to go, you need him to evolve. So don't do like what Greg Roman has done with him the previous 5 years. And that's basically just make him a running quarterback. Let's not insult Lamar and have him be a running quarterback and think that's all he can do. Challenge him to be all of what a quarterback can do in the pocket and out of the pocket, running the ball and throwing it. And that is this week's headlines. A break, and when we come back, a wedding ring not taking place before a Super Bowl ring? I'll discuss more on what that means when you all get back.
Steph Curry. Tim Anderson. Jordan Alvarez.
And it's caught. Debo Samuel with the catch.
Michael Jordan can sense.
The throw just got the king.
BS3 Network.
The hottest of hot takes. The coldest of cold, hard facts. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation. Politics.
They'll write the law, but they'll enforce it differently. Is that going to apply both ways?
Religion.
God never said that we can't reason together. Matter of fact, he said, let us sit and reason together.
Relationship.
I believe that everybody wants and needs somebody.
From a man's perspective.
They say, girls, if I put some polish on that and get him to buy some different clothes, girl, he could be a winner chicken dinner.
Join the thought engineer.
There's nothing wrong with me developing my piece and you developing your piece, but understand the goal is to come together.
And comedian John Yogi.
Negro, I don't need you putting on no chapstick up there in the pulpit. You do that over there in your chair.
Get ready for
Let's Talk Monday. Woo!
Live every Monday at 7 p.m. Central. Welcome back, Gold Johnson. Oh, sports and a Super Bowl ring before a wedding ring. Okay, before I get to that, let us say hello to the VIP zone. You know, I have to say hello to everybody who gives me love because I only give love. Ryan, it is wonderful to have you. Ryan McCarthy of No Credentials Required fame. He says it's time for the classiest sports show on the interwebs. Go Sports! Thank you for the love, Ryan. I appreciate you. My partner on Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, Brian Snow, he says, we love you, Cole Sports. Now let's have that fire. That's what I'm talking about. And he says, the classiest sports show on the planet, featuring the classiest sports host, my partner, and the star of this show, Cole Johnson. Yes. Yes, Hawk TV. Love it out all the way from the DC area. Love you, brother. He says, Cole Sports with the Z. He also goes on to say, hoping Mac McClung gets more playing time. And we will discuss him a little more in the next segment. Victor Locke, VLock83. He says, sorry I'm late, but once again, I'm glad to be here on the classic sports show on the planet. Cole Sports with the Z. Hey, you're here, brother. That means you're on time. He says, good afternoon to the man with the master plan, Cole Sports, Cole Johnson. Oh, and please tell that clown Ray we'll be having a cage match soon. Oh, my Lord. Here we go with cross references and shows. Brian says, greetings to Hall TV and Victor Locke. And, of course, V-Lock says the same thing to you, Snowman. Prolonged PLA says, hey, I want to offer promotion on your channel. Viewers, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any other competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. AutoOn, incredibly flexible and convenient order management panel. Everything is in your hands. Turn it on, off, customize. Go to dodgehype.com. Learn how to read and speak and write English. Come on, son. Really? Sucker. Hawk TV says, y'all already, we like Birdman. That's right. That's right. Fly through any weather. Ryan says, you know your live streams made it when a span body vase the show. Yeah, I know, bro. you know as well as I do, man. Yeah. I feel like Donnie Rollins in Dave Chappelle's show. I'm rich. I won't go on for that. But on to the show. And the team that just keeps on giving, the Dallas Cowboys, the best player on the team, Micah Parsons, he decided to make a tweet, and I think this is hilarious when I when I read this, because he actually was saying that, it's more important it's more important for him to get a ring than for the woman to get a ring. So what does he mean by him saying that? Well, I think I have to send him an email. Email Micah Parsons. Subject of email: don't punish the girlfriend. Body of email: I'm thinking of my man Ben Sutter III of the Forecast fame and the BS3 Network, the owner and the manipulator, the operator of the show, where you can catch this particular program as well every Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm thinking about my man King Doc, Forecast and Queen 3 and King. I'm thinking of course, Victor Locke, who's one of the many, the richest in the VIP zone. And I'm also thinking of my boy, Chris Dietz of the Fifth Down Sports Show fame. I look at you and I'm not going to clown the Cowboys because that's not what I'm doing. It's just that you all know that your players just are gifts that keep on giving. The best player on the team is just doing it once again in Micah Parsons, where he decided to take to Twitter, and his passion is so infectious. He is the reason why I actually would like the team. And I don't like nor dislike the Cowboys, but if I had a reason to say, oh yeah, I like them, Micah Parsons would be hands down the reason why I would. And as they say in the streets, no cap, he'd be the reason why I would like the Cowboys, because I love the passion. He's all about the sport, and he's all about wanting to be the best he can be, and he wants to uplift others around him to be that. So he was that way at Penn State. He's that way now. So he made it known to the world that he will stop at nothing to be the best and win it all. And he would do it to the point where he would hold off on his own wedding.
Come on!
I said he would do it to the point where he would hold off on his own wedding. He's like, whoa, partner. I ain't getting married until I get the ring on the field first. So, yes, he took to Twitter, and the fiery competitor had this to say on the Tweetbird band. He said, quote, I want a ring so bad my girl can't get one until I get one. Two grown, and I don't mean grown as in GROWN, I mean GROAN, grown face emojis, two crying and rolling on the floor laughing emojis. Close quote. Okay, young fella, let me get this straight. You want a ring so bad you will prolong your woman to get a ring until you get one. So you won't even propose to the woman until you become Super Bowl champion. I can go with so many jokes, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not. I am going to say this though. Sir.
You for real?
Sir.
You've got to be joking me.
You do realize your woman will be saying that to you.
You've got to be joking me.
She's going to say things like, oh, I don't know, quote, so the game means more to me. And if that's the case, I can't be with you. Close quote. Or something along the lines of, quote, you selfish, egotistical prick. the game shouldn't mean that much to you. I should. Close quote. You know, things such as, quote, get yourself and get to that jeweler and give me that spark. Close quote. Come on, Micah. I know you're saying this so we can understand how passionate you are about, one, being a part of the Cowboys, two, wanting to have a championship squad, and three, being on one that hasn't seen nor even probably visited the stadium of the Super Bowl since January of 1996. So I understand that the next time the Cowboys can make it to the Super Bowl, it will be this time next year, you hope, which that would be 28 years since the last time they've done it. But your team also has not made it to the NFC Championship game since that time as well. You know, when they won 38-27 over the Packers in mid-January of 96. So you are willing to postpone, put on hold. You're willing to Heisman Trophy pose a woman who, if she loves you, if she wants to drink your dirty bath water, if she worships the ground you walk on, you're going to say to this woman, quote, heifer, I want the bling on the field before I give you the bling off the field. Close quote.
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
Experiencing technical difficulties, please stand by. The host needs to collect himself for a moment or two. Please stand by. The host simply can't believe how people can be such dolts and idiots. Please stand by. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, already in progress.
Oh, Lord have mercy. And now, do you see why I call the Cowboys the gift that keeps on giving? It's just those things like that endear me to them, because it's like I feel sorry for them. But you know something, though, on the serious note, the passion for Micah is admirable. So I give him credit for that. People complain that the players that they back don't seem to have that type of passion. So, Micah, I'm going to say this to you. Seriously, for real. I love your passion, bro. I love that you want to be the champion that you feel as though you were born and bred to be. And you are the best player on the Cowboys by far. Number 2 on the Cowboys, they are much lower on the depth chart to you in terms of player and talent than you are. No one, talent-wise, holds a candle to you on that team. And I'm not saying that your team isn't talented. I'm just saying that you, sir, are an elite talent. I mean, you were considered one of the best defenders this past year. So you have talent. You're the best player in the Cowboys. So I love that talent, and guaranteed people will follow your lead on that team. The problem that you have, sir, is not necessarily on the field, but it's that head coach of yours, and it's the owner. I mean, Pennywise, Mike McCarthy, and Gerald will probably preclude you from winning that chip. Until one or the other changes, or both of them, your road's going to be tough to hoe. And unfortunately, my friend, I feel even worse for your girl because she's gonna go, if she's dating you now, she's gonna go about 15 more years until she gets that ring. And you might not, she might not see the ring, because if you don't win it, does that mean that you don't propose to a woman? See, that's a slippery slope that you just said. But you know what, though? Keep at it, bro. You might get that ring, and if so, you get that girl too, and she'll appreciate the passion that you have for the sport. Because hopefully you bring hopefully you bring a deeper passion for her than you do for football, and your passion for football runs very deep. But she ain't getting a ring before you do. I'm sorry, that's just too funny, bro. Cole Johnson, Cole Sportz, Cole Sportz with a Z at gmail.com.
You're listening to the classiest sports show on the planet. Cole Sportz! From the vault, a look back at a key moment in sports history.
February 22nd, 1980. The Winter Olympics at Lake Placid were in full swing when the United States hockey team faced off against the heavily favored Soviet squad. Just 3 days before the beginning of said Olympiad, the two teams squared off at Madison Square Garden, where the Soviets demolished the U.S. upstarts 10-3. So it was quite a shock to many that the U.S. hockey team made it to the medal round. With 4 wins and 1 tie, the 7th-seeded U.S. squad had a chance to make history. The Soviet hockey team, on the other hand, the odds-on favorites, demolished and squashed all 5 opponents en route to the showdown. The Soviets took a 3-2 lead into the third period, but nearly 9 minutes into the third, a wild shot by David Silk tied the game at 3. About a minute and a half later, the hero of not just this game, but of all of the U.S. hockey team, Micah Parsons, picked up a loose puck in the Soviet zone and slammed it past Vladimir Michkin with a 25-foot wrist shot. The Americans held a lead in the contest for the first time at 4-3, and that lead stood up. With the "Do You Believe in Miracles" call by Al Michaels, the Americans went on to defeat the Soviets 4-3, and then they went on to beat Finland 4-2 in the gold medal game to clinch the gold medal in hockey. The U.S. hockey team beats the Soviet juggernaut, which is now called the Miracle on Ice, on this date in 1980.
From the vault, brought to you by Cole Sportz. This is a journey into crime. A podcast journey that tells the stories of those long forgotten or those easy to remember. We go on a journey that reveals mystery, intrigue, and offers more twists and turns than a country highway. We have looked over cases, we've combed over evidence and testimony, yet we still are left with no answers. Sometimes, in order to get a deeper understanding of something, you must return to view. Now available for download for subscribers only. Each episode premieres only on the USA Today Network. Join now for just $1 to receive premium content like Return to View. That's $1 to become a subscriber and a Return to View loyal listener. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central.
Welcome back to Cole Sports. Cole Johnson here. Back to the VIP zone. And as I said, the man who is the owner, the manipulator, and the operator of the BS3 network, Ben Sudeth. He says, "What's up, Cole? What's up to you, brother?" And yeah, he's been 10 toes down with me almost 10 years, and I've been 10 toes down with him, and nothing's going to change. Glad it's your boy, brother. Victor says, "Look, never mind that person with the spam man, he should be dubbed Infinity Trash." A reference on another show. BS3 says, "What's up to you, Ryan, and what's up to you, Hall TV?" My man Snowman, he goes, "English, do you speak it?" That's right. That's right. BS3 says to say hellos, of course, to Victor and to the Snowman. And of course, Victor says the same thing in return. Victor, after Ben asked how he was doing, he says, "Look, Cowboys, can we please stay out of the news unless we're winning games?" BS3 says, "Micah said, no ring for you, honey." And he agrees with Victor. Yeah, that would be nice. Victor says, "Look, I guess he's following Tom Brady's lead of putting the game of football above his girl." Oh, man. That's pretty strong. But I can't argue on that one. BS3 says, "Look, Michael will never get married at this rate." Victor says, "Thank you, Ben." And I was doing great until Micah Parsons opened his mouth. More like the toothache that just won't stop hurting. Oh, my gosh. And during the commercial break, Victor says, yes, this is something the Cowboys should do. Return to view. And then the one good thing, well, one of many good things about Ryan McCarthy, he is one of the strongest and most ardent hockey supporters and analysts. I pay attention to anything he says hockey related. He talks about the 1980 USSR game in Lake Placid. He says, if Slava Tretiak stayed in the net, they probably would have won the game. But Viktor Tikhonov was punishing Tretiak for the poor first period, and the rest is history. Yeah. And it's funny how things happen like that in the Olympics, where you think a spark could happen, and if one person gets off to a slow start, you want to put somebody in there to sort of rejuvenate things, and it looked like it was working the second period because the Soviets dominated that game then. I mean, the whole period. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had like 12 shots on goal to 2 in second period. So looked like things were working, but yeah, the rest was history. And sometimes when coaches make that decision, especially at goaltender, it can come back to bite them. And with the Soviets that day, it did. Well, from history to, I don't know what the heck you call what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Here is the next DOLT of the week. DOLT of the week is sponsored by nobody. The winner of this episode's Dote of the Week is the National Basketball Association Commissioner, Adam Silver. Now, why is he getting this honor? I'm so glad you asked. Now, did he do a DUI like Jim Irsay? Did he speak out of turn like Kyrie Irving? Did he throw a patron out of a window like Charles Barkley? But did he say things and do things that made a weekend that was one of the most anticipated in all of the sports calendar year absolutely, positively boring?
Yes!
All right. Let's get the particulars out of the way. So, congratulations to Damian Lillard for winning the three-point contest. Good job. He was one of the best shooters in the game, and he's one of the best three-point shooters in the game. In fact, I would say he's number 2 right now behind Stephen Curry. So, yes, he's a marksman and a half, and the dude can hit a 3 from 50 almost like it's nothing, just like Curry can. Kudos to Jason Tatum for winning the MVP, the All-Star game. I'm sorry, the 2023 Kobe Bryant All-Star Game MVP, because I got to give props to the wonderful late legend that is Kobe Bryant. And yes, kudos to you again, Mr. Tatum, for scoring the most points in NBA All-Star Game history with 55. You went double nickel. So, yes, you did your thing. And kudos to the coach of one of those squads, Michael Malone, the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, who said that he was honored to be part of the weekend, but he said something that I've been feeling in my gut for the longest time. And he said, quote, "That was the worst game I have ever seen." Close quote. Now, why would Mr. Malone say this? Why would he risk being fined? And I'm looking at you, Silver. Don't you find that man, because he was speaking truth and he was speaking hot fire facts. Why would a coach of the NBA say that? It's because the teams scored a combined total of 359 points. Mr. Malone said that was the worst game he ever saw because the teams on the court, Team LeBron versus Team Giannis, scored a total of 359 points.
What?
359 points.
What?
359 points. This is supposed to be the cherry on the sundae. This is the event that you all come to see. This is the event that you want all people to watch on TV. This is the event that you want your arenas to be filled. If not, if you put it in bigger stadiums like you did in the past in the Astrodome, like you did in the past with the Pontiac Silverdome, like you did in the past with the Alamo Dome, like you've done in the past with Jerry World or the AT&T Stadium. This is the event that you want everybody to focus on watching. But we got a chance to witness an impromptu dunk contest in the middle of the first quarter where basically both defenses were like, "Olé! The whole lane is yours, y'all. The whole lane is yours, LeBron. The whole lane is yours. Do what you will. Act the fool," yeah, including you, Anthony Edwards. Act the fool and dunk to your heart's content. That is not why we want to see NBA basketball. It isn't because we want to see offense on display and defense is optional. No, defense wasn't optional. And defense basically just takes a go flying leap. We don't want to see that. We want to see good, We're going to see good hard play. And if it happens to be physical, so be it. We want to see passion on the offensive end and passion on the defensive end. But what do you decide to have happen, Mr. Silver? Oh, no, you decided to just simply lay back in the cut, and you want the players to decide it all, right? Forget the East versus West because, well, somebody ruined it. When somebody ruled one conference, all the players wanted to go to the opposite conference because, well, they wanted to have the glory of beating that guy once they got to the finals. I'm not going to mention that guy right now. I mentioned him earlier on another show. So you put in the players and you make this a pickup game that's glorified throughout the world. Pickup game only though it is NBA players who are doing it. Here's the problem I have with it. The All-Star game sucks. The pickup games that you all do in the summertime, that's something we want to see, but we're not privy to see it because that's not really on NBA time. The All-Star game is on NBA time, so then that's what we get a chance to see, right? We're seeing crap when it comes to that. Crap. 359 combined points. Teams should not combine for that many points in any game. All-Star, preseason, regular season, postseason, or the finals, unless it's going into 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 overtimes. That 184-175 Team Giannis victory over Team LeBron, that happened within 4 quarters. Oh, and by the way, the fourth quarter didn't get all 12 minutes played because the way the new format is, a team will have to get to a certain number in order to win the game. So after 3, they can figure, okay, so if you get to this number, your team wins. Forgetting that they play 48 minutes, this is supposed to be beneficial to the players.
What?
This is supposed to be something the players love.
What?
The players want.
What?
The players covet.
What?
The players need.
What?
The players embrace.
What?
The players co-sign.
What?
The players absolutely endorse.
What?
You gotta be kidding me, Kawhi. Okay. So I have lambasted the game itself, which that's supposed to be the reason why we are in tune to the weekend, because it's supposed to be the best of the best is on the court and even on the bench, right? The best 24 players that we think that should comprise of this game that's supposed to be the greatest talent of game in the world for any particular season, right? The second most important event that should be, but is not and has not been for 10, no. 15, no. 20, no. 25, no. 30, no. 35 years. The slam dunk competition, it's become a farce. It's become an absolute FARCE, farce. It is farcical. It is comedic. It is a drone. It is boring. You shouldn't have a competition that's supposed to, in the night, be the one where people want to go to sleep at it. Now, guaranteed, those folks in Salt Lake City, they didn't go to sleep during this past one. And for those who want to come challenge me, no, that doesn't include 2016 because that actually was a competition. No, that does not include 2000 because that was a coronation, the likes of which we've never seen before and haven't seen since with Vince Carter. No, that doesn't include the both years that Quentin Richardson won the competition, where he, on to a far lesser degree, was the guy in the slam dunk competition. No. It is a shot at the bow to you, Mr. Silver, because you're letting non-all-stars compete on that platform. Excuse me. What is the event called, Mr. Silver? The NBA All-Star Weekend? And this is not a shot at Mac McClung. In fact, sir, that was a great performance in the slam dunk competition. And that 540 was wonderful. But Mr. Silver, let me get this straight. So you mean to tell me that in the NBA All-Star Weekend, we can have those who aren't all-stars compete? Is that what you're saying? You know, I mean, we don't have NBA all-stars compete. So we can have Joe Blow come off the street, suit up, and play. We can have people in the VIP zone come and play. We can have people in rec leagues come and play. You can have people at the Y come and play in the NBA All-Star Weekend. In the event where all stars should compete, you are lacking in that department, sir. And it's now to the point where you actually have the all-stars literally come on Sunday to play. They don't participate. Most of them don't participate on Friday when you have the Legends game or you have the youth game or you have both of them, depending on what you want to do, or the celebrity game. You don't really have them compete all that much, except for possibly, I don't know, a handful to do the three-point competition, because you have none of them in the slam dunk competition. None. I mean, none. I mean, it's like you're saying who with every single person who is in the competition. Who? Including Mac McClung. Who? And then you have the game on Sunday where the players really could give two craps about playing it, and many of them mail it in, especially on the defensive end, and they could care less about if they get a check for it, if they play a few minutes in it. They just want to make sure they don't get injured and they don't embarrass themselves on national TV. But my biggest gripe about this, Mr. Silver, and my biggest gripe to you, sir, is you've done many good things, but the one spot where you have failed is now you have no names participating in the NBA All-Star Weekend. Mac McClung, was he on an NBA squad last year? Was he on an NBA squad last month? Was he on the NBA squad 15 days ago? Did you even know his name? Yeah, that's what I thought. You can't keep having this happen. You all want to know why the slam dunk competition is dead. And don't give me the fact that you have this white boy can jump type of scenario revive the sport. It's a dead entity because you don't have all stars compete in it. It is a simple formula. If you're going to name the weekend All-Star, Mr. Silver, you should have all stars compete in it. Not bench players. And you can miss me with 2016, you had Zach LaVine and Aaron Donald. Both of them were bench players at the time. Now they've since gone on to be starters, but both of them were bench players. No one knew who either one was other than Zach LaVine because he won the slam dunk competition the year before. But we all collectively forgot about him because he was languishing on the Timberwolves bench the next year. So if you really want to have the luster, the prestige, the sparkle, the spectacle of the NBA All-Star Weekend return, if you want the slam dunk competition to be like how we remember it back in the 80s, and you can pick anywhere from between 85 to 90, and I'll even give you the mulligan of 89 because Kenny Skywalker was really nothing, but you had Clyde Drexler compete in it. It is because you actually at that time had all-stars compete in the event. Heck, I'll even go back to 83 because Larry Nance, who was an all-star and a starter, he actually competed in the event and won it. Even Dr. J competed in the event. That's what you're needing. You're needing to have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, Anthony Edwards, and LeBron James to compete in this event, and we would take it seriously. Otherwise, in an event called the Slam Dunk Competition, where you have all stars lacking, you might as well, Mr. Silver, call that weekend, the weekend now that inhabits the third weekend in February, or the weekend after the Super Bowl, basically, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after the Super Bowl. And even with the way the All-Stars play in the All-Star game, you might as well rechristen the whole weekend and call it the NBA No Star Weekend. And that's the rating I give you. No stars. Because that debacle of a weekend, that's what Mac McClung included. That's what Jason Tatum scoring 55 points in the All-Star game included. It takes a big, fat, juicy. Oh, we ain't done. NBA got their turn. NFL, it's your turn. And when we come back, we're going to address something that's specifically tailor-made for you. This is Cole Sports with Cole Johnson. Be right back.
This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central.
Coming up on next week's Cole Sports, we're going to examine if the Ravens should or should not slap the franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. Should Lamar Jackson take whatever deal the Ravens give him? And of course, we're going to talk more about the NBA's goings on. We might even delve a little bit into Major League Baseball since pitches to catches reported this week, and getting ready for spring training. And of course, we're going to go in. Might send another email. We're definitely going to have another Dolt of the Week. You just don't know what's going to happen, but I love it. Back to the VIP zone we go. And Ryan McCarthy, the hockey enthusiast / aficionado, he says, and Boris Mikhailov is still PISSED about that game too. Good. And the game he's talking about is the Winter Olympic hockey semifinal in 1980 between the U.S. and the USSR. Vidala says, take a bow, Adam Silver. You earned this distinction of Dolt of the Week because Rio recognizes real. Yep. And he goes on to say, so the All-Stars could make all kinds of crazy dunks in the All-Star game, but not in a dunk contest. You noticed that too, Victor? Yes. That's what infuriates me all the more. They decided to actually have a game, and all of a sudden an all-star competition breaks out with the slam dunk contest. He says all-star weekend, not who's that weekend. Drop that mic, Victor, drop that mic. He says nobody wants to see me play basketball, though I was pretty good at three-point shooting. Look, I was pretty good at boxing out and rebounding, but no one wants to see me play either. 100, bro, 100. He says, look, I propose that we change the name for the All-Star game to the All-Star game because you'll be saying that throughout the weekend is who. And he says, Le Chicken, a.k.a. Kang James. That's right. We don't in this program celebrate Yo Kang. No, we don't do that. Now, from basketball to football, and those of you, I think, who have paid close attention to things, we witnessed that every team in the NFL has locked down their head coaching positions. No head coaching positions were open as of last week. But there was a move that happened, possibly and probably the biggest move when it comes to coaching throughout the whole offseason, and probably will be throughout the whole offseason, even if others are fired. And what I mean Eric Bieniemy, who is now the former Chiefs offensive coordinator, is now the present Commanders offensive coordinator / assistant head coach. But I just have a problem with it. And I came this close to giving you all the Dolt of the Week distinction. But the NBA All-Star Game basically wanted to say, hold my beer. But you still going to get this work. You still going to get this work because NFL, Roger Goodell, all you 31 owners, and the principal guy who represents the Packers, oh, yeah, you're going to get this work because I'm about to go in. So let me get this straight. All right, Shield. Okay, 31 owners and the principal guy who represents the Packers. So you mean to tell me that we have Leslie Frazier, We have Jim Caldwell. We have Eric Bieniemy. And there's another name that I'm forgetting right off the top of my head right now. You have them on speed dial because every time you have a head coaching hire that you need to make, you want to fulfill the Rooney Rule and interview those guys and put them in the books and saying, hey, we did interview a black coach for the head coach position. Here's the proof. I'm looking at you, File Shield, because there were 4 names, and I named 3 of them, who represented 25% of these new head coaching hire interviews. Oh, and the names that I mentioned, I can't remember if they actually had head coaching, if they got to the position of head coach. And then you have the positions that were available and the player and the guys who could coach it. Like, Steve Wilkes, the guy who came this close to doing the impossible and having the Panthers actually make it to the playoffs, winning the NFC South, taking that team that was a bunch of nothing into making them into something. But nah, they wanted Frank Wright instead. And then there is the curious case of Eric Bieniemy. Now, this guy had 17 times he was interviewed for the head coaching position. He was not considered once for any of them. And so many said, well, it had to be because, he doesn't interview well. Well, it has to be because of his sordid past. Or it has to be that we don't really believe he had a hand in that offense that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And then I look at the folks at Arrowhead. Mainly you, Mr. Andy Reid, because whenever the subject would always come up of, in that game, the way you managed the offense, yeah, that was beautiful. Tell me what went on in your head when you did that. You would say, quote, oh, no, that wasn't me. That was Eric Bieniemy. Eric made that call, and Eric was the strategist. Close quote. Okay, so riddle me this, Batman. Why is it that when you were on the podium, name any podium, name any post-game podium that you can think of. Why is it that when you were on the podium, you said that, but I read a USA Today article when Mr. Bieniemy was hired by the Washington Commanders as the assistant head coach and the offensive coordinator, the byline, no, not byline, but the subheading said, quote, ... will be calling plays for the first time in his NFL career. Close quote. Would you mind explaining that to me, Mr. Reid? Why is it that someone actually wrote that and didn't get challenged on it? It's on a nationally publicated, it's a national publication. It's on a newspaper that goes nationwide. I know because I work for them. And it was not challenged. And I know it's on that national publication because I know what that goes into the vetting of it. I know how the newsroom editors at the paper, which I read that, it goes by. It says we won't print Jack and you won't have this go past the editor unless you can prove it to be true. So that writer proved it to be true, which means, sir, you are lying. Lord have mercy. You are lying. So now he goes to Landover, Maryland. He goes to the D.C. area where he has to prove himself to actually get a head coaching position, but we're going to bypass the fact that he was the offensive coordinator of the number one ranked offense the past 5 years. So we're going to bypass the fact that in the 5 years he was the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, the organization, let me see if I can remember this correctly. Let's see. And that's a 2, and carry the 1, bring the 3 around, and the worst performing year that the Chiefs had was the AFC Championship game, which means their season ended at the AFC Championship game in 2018. You won the Super Bowl in 2019. You lost the Super Bowl in 2020. You made it to the AFC Championship game in 2021. You won the Super Bowl this year. So if you are the offensive coordinator of a team that has made it that far all 5 years, oh no, by the way, the defense is not the calling card of the team, but the offense is, then why is this guy getting overlooked? Why is he getting passed over? Why is he not getting consideration? And I'm not going to go with the because he's black part. I'm going to go with the whole league isn't sold on him. Why? Why? Every time I've looked at highlights of him and I've seen how he's dealt with the players like him. Well, okay, unless you're Shady McCoy, who, well, the nickname of him should give you a clue. Look, LaShawn, I get that things were probably tense between you and Eric, but you should know he was a former running back just like you are. So he's probably going to be toughest on running backs than anybody. Forget that gripe. He seemed to have the galvanizing spirit of the team, especially the offense. It seemed like the people in the offense liked him, chiefly amongst them Patrick Mahomes. I never heard him once say anything disparaging about Eric. Not one. And if you can provide one disparaging thing that Patrick Mahomes ever said about Eric Bieniemy, please, and I mean this is the VIP zone, please provide it to me, because I haven't seen it and I do research. I haven't seen it. I haven't heard it. I haven't read it. So why is this man, who I really believed with my whole heart that Andy Reid was going to serve his time, he was going to bow out gracefully, and he was going to do to Eric Bieniemy like what Bruce Arians in Tampa did to Todd Bowles and say, look, I'm going to take a consulting position with the Bucs. Todd, it's your turn. You now are the head coach of the team because I groomed you to be in that position. Why could that not be the same thing for Eric Bieniemy? So it means to me that, doggone, this is actually producing bile in my throat. It means that when you hired Eric Bieniemy, Chiefs, Andy, that means he was a token hire.
No!
A token hire.
No!
A token hire.
No!
That is what I find the most frustrating. This reeks of a token hire. And you have other coaches, like Shane Steichen, the former offensive coordinator of the Eagles. Now he's the head coach of the Colts. You have John Gannon, the former defensive coordinator of the Eagles. Now he's the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. They're able to go on to head coaching positions. And those are the two main coordinators of the losing Super Bowl team. But the offensive coordinator of the winning one, the only job he could get is an offensive coordinator position in another team? Really?
You've got to be joking me.
That is the only position that was available. Oh, but you sweeten the deal by saying, well, he gets to call his own plays and he gets to be the assistant head coach.
You've got to be joking me.
You see, NFL, this is why I say there are many who are not hustling laterally. They're hustling backwards. And you can give me the sell job that the commander's position is better because he'll have more responsibility and he'll prove even better why he's a head coach material. But the fact that he had to move laterally means to me that is a hustling backward position. Pure, plain, and simple. Pure, plain, and simple. So now we have to deal with this. The Rooney Rule is celebrating their 20th anniversary. There were 3 head coaches that were black. 2023, there are 3 head coaches that are black. I think you got to do something, Shield, and you got to do something now. It's just that simple. It's that cut and dried. And you can't have a coach that's as good as Eric Bieniemy have to take a lateral position to prove his worth. That's just not cool at all. We'll be back right after this.
There's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. 4 men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised, with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Dog, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents The Forecast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
Live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Steph Curry, Tim Anderson, Jordan Alvarez.
And it's caught! Debo Samuel with the catch. Michael Jordan can sense it.
The Fro just got the king.
BS3 Network.
The hottest of hot takes. The coldest of cold hard facts. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. Do you want to watch this episode commercial-free and uncensored, plus have exclusive access to content you won't see anywhere else? Well, now you can. Cole Sportz is now on Patreon. Become a patron today.
Before we head on out to the VIP zone one last time. Oh man, it's just so wonderful to have you all here. Videla says, "Where have you been, Rod?" And Rod answers the podcast. Check him out. Wonderful guy, wonderful brother. He says, "What's up, fellas? Bishop Rod Graham Jakes is here." Oh my, you're a trip. You're a trip, man. It's a pleasure to have you, man. And hopefully you won't be a stranger, man. Hopefully. If you feel led to donate to this program, go to cash.app/$host Cole Johnson. That's cash.app/$host Cole Johnson. Well, that is all the time that I have on this episode. We thank you. Oh, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be a part of a wonderful, wonderful team and wonderful fans as such as the VIPs. And I appreciate you as always. And with much love, I bid you a great farewell and an adieu. For all of us here at Cole Sports, I am Cole Johnson, and this is
Thank you for tuning in to Cole Sports. To download this episode, go to Spreaker and type Cole Sports with a Z. For apparel, go to Spring and type Cole Sports VIP Boutique. That's with a Z. To reach Cole Johnson, go to flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. This has been a Comey Media Incorporated presentation.